So our first speaker, are you ready?
If I can get on my chair.
Okay. Our first speaker was chosen to go first due to the synergy with the Mexican food and her talk. So when she's not ordering Mexican food for 5-minute talks, you can find her talking about Mexican food at 5-minute talks. So here now to present regional differences in Americanized Mexican food is Caroline.
Okay, I'm going to start this off. I'm going to try and set the bar low. I have not practiced this. I was writing the notes in the meeting before this. So, this is for you. This is for during Eric's talk. This is for all of you who come after me. I'm going to try and do a bad job. So, yeah, those of you who know me know that I like to complain about Mexican food in Boston. And my first Mexican food meal in Boston was at Border Cafe, where they had carne asada made with filet mignons, which was very confusing to someone from California because carne asada is all about taking the tough meat and marinating it so it gets nice and not tough, and then grilling it. And the whole point of filet mignon is that it's tender meat. So that was a little confusing to me. Because Tex-Mex is generally confusing to me. So I thought maybe the whole issue I have with Mexican food in Boston is the fact that it's more Tex-Mex inspired. So I thought I'd look into that a little bit. And look at the regional variations and stuff like that. Obviously, you know, what is a white girl from California talking about Mexican food? I have a few qualifications. I did Spanish immersion program. I have read Octavio Paz's essay about the verb chingar. But beyond that, I've just eaten a lot of Mexican food. So please forgive me. I will at some point say something that is culturally insensitive, from a point of privilege, or otherwise offensive, and I apologize. So the first thing I'm going to say is, what the hell is Mexican food? So generally, when the Spanish came, there were actually, though much of what is now Mexico was under the rule of, was under the rule of Aztec and Montezuma, there were still very specific food cultures across what is now Mexico. And then for 300 years, the Spanish ruled, and there were all sorts of food combining and also regions that remained distinct. So just to start with, what is authentic Mexican food? So El Pelon claims to make authentic Mexican food. I would say that a good portion of Mexican restaurants say authentic somewhere in their menus or their taglines. And not to get critical theory on you, but this is complete bullshit. Like, authenticity does not really exist at all in terms of Mexican food, because where are you even going to start? And then just to say, so I phrased this Americanized Mexican food because that's what I know more about, that's what I complain more about, and I realize that most of what we eat here is not actually what most people, some of it's eaten in Mexico and some of it isn't. But if you look at the regions that Americanized Mexican food comes from, until 1848, they were actually largely a part of Mexico. So, so this is the Mexican-American War. For those of you who don't remember this part of history, all you have to notice is this is Mexico now. This used to be Mexico. So, if things came from areas that used to be Mexico, should they be Mexican food, should they not be? So generally, I would say that if you're trying to score things in terms of good Mexican food, some things just taste bad. But if they're good in terms of authenticity, it's really a difficult debate to have, although the internet is completely full of it. So, so I would say that in my experience, there's about 3 strong areas of Mexican food that you find across America. There is the Tex-Mex, which still puzzles me after reading a little bit about it. And so I had my dear friend Shane Lee, who is from San Antonio, to talk to him and some of his friends. So in the book I was reading, that's 4 minutes left, or okay.
That you've done for me.
Okay, shit. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Lots of people think it's goopy. But as it turns out, what's interesting is that San Antonio, Texas is actually where a lot of it has emerged from. It's where chili con carne came from. It's where queso is from. Cumin and a particular chili spice that's not spicy called Barribo is from there. And really, it's sort of the poor people's food. And that's actually one interesting thing throughout the story of Mexican food sort of moving up through America is that the stuff that actually translated well to America was simultaneously being looked down upon in Mexico. So there's a lot of issues of sort of class and culture and exoticism that happen. California's interesting because in LA, they wanted to attract people, so they were like, hey, look, we have this cool past. It used to be like Spanish pueblos. Let's convince everyone to come here because Spanish pueblos are cool and let's feed them the food. They fed them actually what was more sort of Mexican food, but they called it Spanish food. And they created this weird nostalgia. And that's why if you go to Mexican restaurants, you often find the women and men dressed up in like weird pueblo outfits. That's civic leaders of LA back, at the turn of the century. You can thank them for that. And then in the Southwest, it was a little bit more isolated, so you get back and forth from both Tex-Mex and California Mexican, but then you also get more interactions with indigenous tribes that are there. So you'll find more like things that are particularly forward with the masa and the blue corn, and you'll find, if you guys have ever been out there, lots and lots of different kinds of peppers, and roasting peppers is a huge part of the culture, as well as tamales. And I have a couple more slides, and I'm just going to show them to you guys really quickly. This is chili con carne. It came from San Antonio. It's so much a part of our culture that actually I would say that the big debate is beans and tomatoes, not actually whether it's Mexican. It's sort of completely become a part. Tamales are another difficult one because they vary a lot across Central America. But the most interesting one, is anyone here from Chicago? Have you had a mother-in-law? It is a tamale inside a hot dog bun. Yeah, I'll skip. I don't have any time. If you guys want to know more about tamales, I can tell you after. And then this is my own personal passion. This is my favorite kind of burrito with no extra shit in it. This is the kind in San Francisco that's really popular everywhere. It has a lot of stuff in it. LA is sort of halfway in between. And then there's this crazy thing that I never had until recently, but is from San Diego, which has French fries in it. And finally, tacos. As you notice, once again, not much filler on the top of the ones I chose. Hopefully the fish tacos are pretty good. When everyone comes to SFN next year, be sure to have really good fish tacos. And I must say something culturally about tacos, that at this point in LA, tacos are, one of the most popular kinds of tacos is these koji tacos, which is like beef bulgogi and other kinds of Korean foods inside a taco shop. So that's it. I have more to say. You guys can ask me later.